Hello and welcome to Fresh Insights from Fresh Faces. On this episode, we're going to discuss the best call to action your community can use to book campus tours. So thank you so much for being here today. And of course, we're joined by our resident occupancy marketing expert, Phil Smith. Phil, how are you today?
Jeff, I'm doing great. Happy Friday to you.
Thank you so much. Should we share a secret? Do you want to bring the audience in on the behind-the-scenes production of this program?
Yeah, we can share a secret.
All right, so let's share a secret, right? So we're not afraid to be transparent, but Phil and I are actually in the same location today.
Right.
Phil's just 2 doors down the hall. But the format of the show is such that this great 2-panel talk show format, we were literally running around picking different offices. I went down the hall to an empty office. It was a little too echoey, and we don't want to have the reverb, right? So I think we figured it out.
Yeah, I think we got it. We'll comment if you think we actually got this thing figured out for you today.
Yes. So instead of telling us where you're watching from, like we normally ask, tell us if you can hear Phil's echo or my echo in the audio track, right?
Perfect.
This is the beauty of Facebook Live television. So.
Hey. Absolutely.
Yeah, that's good. Well, and as you can see too, we have whiteboard wall paint on this conference room, and I think it's still curing, so we're not going to write on it yet.
Right. We got to just to make sure we can get all of our big thoughts on a big board.
That's right. Big ideas on big spaces.
Right.
Speaking of big ideas, or even precise ideas, let's get to the topic of the show today. And this, we've been pursuing this 3-part series on how our communities and the audience members, the sales and marketing leaders at senior living communities can use their website and guides, and in this case, calls to action to book campus tours. And this role of conversions and calls to action and Phil, can you say exactly what should somebody say on their website on that call to action to get that campus tour? Can you fill us in on that today?
Yeah, absolutely. I'd love to. And it's one of my favorite answers, Jeff. The answer is, it depends.
Oh, I love that answer.
Right. It's one of my favorites, but it allows us to take a deep dive and really understand that digital marketing, your website, it's all connected to your operations, and it all depends on your processes, what your goals for driving new residents, what the process is to driving new residents, how your internal sales and marketing structure is set up. So the biggest thing, Jeff, to start with is we need to understand what type of conversion we're actually looking for. So is that for them to actually physically pick the phone up, Jeff, and give you a call and say, hey, Mary, I'm here. I'd love to stop by and schedule a campus tour. Is it the phone call that's the most important, or is it a form fill? Is it a form submission where they have to fill out name, phone number, email, and then we market to them later? So what is more valuable for your community setup?
Wow. So I would imagine that if someone's willing to call and you want someone to pick up the phone, they possibly have I don't want to say in some cases a more urgent need, but
sure,
a more timely need than, say, if someone is casually researching. Does that sound about right, Phil?
Yeah. Yep. Absolutely, Jeff. There are times when users are more apt to pick the phone up because they have a more urgent need. But it's important to understand, though, that sometimes just the way users are, especially younger users, they're low touch, no touch. So they're never going to pick the phone up. They want to go through just your scheduling, what do I want to call it? Your scheduling form on your website and say, hey, I want to be there at 11:30. And they're just going to show up at 11:30 and take the campus tour. So it does a little bit depend on the user as well.
So since we are talking about booking campus tours, let's use the case of someone that is in the consideration mode, right? They're not in any hurry. It's a longer time horizon. So if, we talked about mobile responsive websites, right? How do we set up the website to configure it? And the role of guides. In the last episode, the role of guides and helpful information and even, interactive planners. And so when it all comes down to what is, given this person and the mindset they're in and the persona that typically we have for that community,
Right.
is the most effective call to action in that state where someone is in this kind of longer term consideration phase?
Yeah, so there's a couple of different calls to actions that we can really use. And really it's just the call to action is just what is the messaging on the button or the top of the form that they're going to press that's going to either lead them to a form or they're going to fill the form out underneath it. So that's the call to action, just to make sure that everybody's on the same page. But there's a couple of different calls to actions that we can use. Book a tour, literally say, click here, book a tour, as well as in the same vein, schedule a visit. There's also request a brochure. There's also contact us. And there's also, of course, the standard call us today. So there's a couple of, again, like I said, there's about 5, maybe 8 different CTAs that we can leverage. But the biggest piece for me, Jeff, is if you want them to book a tour, ask them to book a tour. Find a place that it makes sense to put schedule a tour so that they have the understanding that I'm going to fill this form out and hopefully within 5 minutes or less, because it's an internet form fill, hopefully in 5 minutes or less, I'm going to get a phone call from the community or an email back that says your tour is scheduled for Thursday at 2, or are you open for a tour at, Thursday at 2, something of that nature. Again, if they're expecting to book a tour and you want them to book a tour, let's complete that cycle.
Wow. So it's that simple, right? It's literally say engage them, send them down the path. But when it comes time to it, the best conversion element or the best call to action is book a tour today.
Well, for the most part, again, yeah, absolutely. But here's one of the things that an ongoing program should include when you're looking at, because your marketing is ongoing all year, right? So we're always evaluating and looking to see how can we make it a little bit better. So we want to leverage some conversion rate testing or conversion rate optimization. So we want to change just that form, just where it says schedule a tour, change that so half of your users see call us today and the other half see schedule a tour, and see which one converts better and what type of leads you're receiving.
All right, so that's good. So that sounds like we're just getting into testing mode, right? So conversion rate optimization and often known as what, an A/B test? That's what.
Right.
Okay.
Yep, an A/B test.
So even to back up a step, should there be the big flashing lights on the homepage? Book a tour today. Should it be that explicit or blatant, or do you recommend a subtle approach?
So we want kind of a mix. It needs to be above the fold so that when the user lands on your website, whether it's on a mobile device or on a desktop or on a tablet, they don't have to scroll to see that call to action.
Right.
And then one of the other things, though, not to get too far into mobile, but we do want to make sure we have click to calls, right? So all the forms should be click to call on your mobile. So that's kind of the hidden CTA is our clickable phone number, but that CTA should be prominent. The user shouldn't have to search for it. It doesn't necessarily have to be the only thing that they see by any means, because we still want them to feel welcomed. We still want to share our brand perspective. We still want them to self-educate. But we do still ultimately, again, want them to book a tour so they can come see how awesome we are. So let's put that above the fold, somewhere where they don't have to search to find it, somewhere that's, mobile friendly as well. And then, again, make sure that you're leveraging, different types of CTAs with some different verbiage.
Okay. So it is this graceful combination of, from a user experience standpoint, letting someone navigate the website and learn more and download guides and maybe, read some blog posts, but always have that gentle reminder, say, I was saying upper funnel content, right? And that's kind of more high level educational content. It's possibly a gentle reminder. Or if they're literally researching, very specific information that might signal interest, is it a little more not as gentle and a little more direct?
That's a great segue, because the one thing I did want to touch on today, Jeff, is your CTAs change by what page it is. So if it's your homepage, it has a different CTA than, say, maybe the the independent living page has, which has maybe a different CTA than your location page if you have more than one location. So you have to understand where the user is on your site and why they're there, and where that probably puts them in that funnel, whether it's awareness, consideration, actual lead generation, or move in. Where are they at in that funnel? And so they change by page because the users are using those pages for certain reasons.
Right. So it sounds like the best thing we can do is, and of course that makes sense, the call to action is a function of their location on the website and the expectation for that page. And we want to be consistent. And, we discussed this in episode 1. You want your website to feel like a human or physical interaction, right? You want it to be
exactly
the way the community carries itself and presents itself. And so if someone walks in the front door, you're not going to jump on them, right? You're not going to, hello, welcome, right?
Right, exactly. And that's, consider that to be your homepage. So it's prominent. You're there. Somebody's sitting at the front desk, but they're not saying, hey, let's get you into that tour. Come on, let's go. So exactly. So it just depends. And that's, of course, that's why you have experts out there in the space that can help you understand, where you're going and how users are using the website. So that's definitely one of the important areas for CTAs is understand which ones are appropriate on which pages.
All right, that makes a lot. Is there anything or calls to action, something we didn't cover yet that the audience would need to know?
No, I think we did a great job today, Jeff. We got a little bit into CRO, which is one of my favorite topics. But really those CTAs, I think we covered them pretty well.
All right, Phil, I hope you have a great weekend, and it was so great talking to you today, and I will see you in like a minute.
Thanks, Jeff. I'll see you soon.